Welcome to this episode of YouTube where we're winding down the summer and yet we still have a little bit of heat, and we are continuing to clean ponds and make sure that the wolves have a good clean water supply that allows them to cool off. This is Aiden in the wading pool. This is actually the pack holding area where pups would normally be, so it's not that deep. It's got a nice kind of incline there, got some rocks there. It certainly works well for the retirees as well, to be able to cool themselves off. But Aiden's doing great in the transition into retirement, and we took the time necessary for him to mentally adapt to retirement, and that was kind of an important part. What was a bonus for us is that we're finding that Grizzer is maintaining kind of the relationship that he had with Aiden in 2011, the last time they lived together, meaning a very strong bond between them, and certainly Grizzer's been following Aiden around a lot. Since Aiden's come in, it seems like Grizzer's got more confidence, and he's tolerating Luna a little bit better. You can see Luna came off the den there, and he didn't even move, whereas before Grizzer would be pretty skittish about that. And we're starting to see a little bonding behavior. It took a while, a little bit over a month since the introduction. July 25th was the introduction. This is August 27th. You know, Aiden's going to try to reassert a little dominance and certainly try to, maintain some leadership here. There's a couple of grabs there that look like they're not fun, but it's all part of wolf communication. For Luna, the only difference that we have to watch for is it seems like the bond with Grizzer and Aiden means that they both want to interact and chase Luna. So want to make sure that she's okay with it, and like I said, a lot of times Luna will start it, so it's certainly her choice. And obviously her having the back leg issue, we want to make sure that she's not overexerting herself, and making sure that everybody's staying cool as we get some of these warmer days in late August and in early to September. So that's been kind of interesting. So we see Luna having a little bit of dominance that she triggers, meaning she starts it, and then, like I said, Aiden's following through with the rollover and submission like he did when they were living together. And it's certainly not any hard. They're all inhibited bites, and you can see by Luna's tail that she's perfectly involved, I guess, from that standpoint, at the same level that he is, like Aiden is. So like I say, tails are up, they're wagging, she's been able to maneuver and certainly had a easy time getting on and off those dens. And that's what's, I think, is real important, is that she's physically more active with these guys around, and certainly that's going to make her feel a little bit better and affect her overall health. So like I say, here you can see she's on top of the den, she's pawing at the branches on top of Aiden's head. This is not an aggressive encounter. This is a social encounter. He's doing a little bit of pawing at the ground, going to race around and try to get to the top of the den. But at this point, she possesses the top of the den. And that's the one thing that we're finding, is that Luna has the ability to guard spaces, to possess spaces. And as a matter of fact, the dominance here is pretty equal, meaning that Luna maintains rank, and Aiden's starting to get a little bit of rank back. When Aiden first came in, he was definitely a little bit more timid, and Grizzer started to gain a little bit more rank. But as time goes on, Grizzer's settling into being part of the social bond with Aiden and not necessarily having to compete with Aiden. As a matter of fact, those two eat together quite well. Every day they're fed, they share food at the fence line. You can see Grizzer following Aiden, so there seems to be a companionship that's built with them that's not related to rank, whereas Luna and Aiden are still going to try to maintain respective dominance, so Luna being the female dominant role and Aiden being the male dominant role. So it has been interesting to watch, and certainly it's gotten Luna a lot more animated and a lot more active, which is good for her to be mobile. We want to make sure that it's within a reasonable frame. And here's this kind of an interesting clip, is trying to figure out who gets what real estate. And so Aiden's coming across the den. Again, all these dens are built by working for Wolves Crews, and we're so grateful for the time that people put in to make sure that the rocks were stable and done well. That allows Aiden to climb from the back up to the top of the den and then back off, so that we don't risk any possible sprains or things like that with these older animals. But what's interesting is Grizzly's asleep, and he likes to sleep in the front. Aiden thinks he's going to go into the den, and I'm not sure if he didn't see Luna, but Luna responded with a threatening growl that says, "No, I don't think so. You're not going into my den," enough to wake Grizzly up and make him a little bit wary of what's going on. So that's retirement. In the exhibit, we are seeing the wolves spend a lot more time in the upper part of the enclosure. These hot, humid days in fall, especially after they've gotten their winter coats on, are hard for them, so they go in the dense forest, which has limited vegetation actually up above, because the forest stand is so thick that the forest floor doesn't get a lot of sunlight, so there's not a lot of vegetation. That means there's a lot of cool soil. And no doubt, having wolves in a captive environment means that you're going to have areas that are a little bit more susceptible to trampling and digging. But it's a very sandy area. And what we're looking at here is kind of interesting alliance. Denali along with Bolts. And then obviously the Arctics spending time together. So the metal that you're seeing is through the fence. So this was filmed up in the upper part of the enclosure. But there are times when they do come down. 4 times a day, the staff try to stimulate them through some kind of enclosure enrichment, oftentimes hosing down the front sand to cool it down so they're willing to come down during the warmest parts of the day. And again, we just restrict that to 4 times a day to make sure that we don't overheat the animals, and it gives us a good chance to be able to keep an eye on them. But that's kind of what's going on, and we're really happy to see some really good behaviors and good interactions, and definitely a lot of facial expressions coming out of the exhibit pack, as well as retirement. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again.